So we have in our last video we put the door in our platform game. So so we now have levels. And one thing I just added is like you notice here in level 2, I'm actually able to get to it because I can't jump that high. And so coordinates are starting to matter. We want to know, we want to place things properly. So what I did is in my draw function, I put this line of code, and this says put the text of the mouse's X location and the mouse's Y location at 20 and 80. So you'll see now that my mouse tells X and Y, and that's really good because I actually want to lower this platform in level 2. If you see, I'm not able to get to it, so I want to just lower. So maybe I want it at well, the X is actually good, but I want it not at 209. I want it down to about 313. So let's go to level 2 and say it's yeah. See, it's at 160 right now. The door should be about here, which is 280. So 280, and the platform just a little bit below that. Platform 280, 260. Let's go. Because I moved the door, but I didn't move the platform. So the platform should be about here. Y 316, and before it was at one, it was at 200. So let's say 316. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so now it looks right. And now with that code, I can plan my levels a little bit easier. Okay, notice I don't have a level 3, and so that's why it errors out after level 3, but you can add them. Okay, so I'm ready to go. I want to make an enemy because this game doesn't really make any sense. It's really easy to hit the stuff. I need some enemy to give a challenge. So let's go let enemy, and then we're gonna initialize the enemy just like we initialize the hero. So I don't actually. I'm gonna leave Y speed. I like the idea of the enemy moving, so I'm gonna leave it. And it has a location X, Y, width, height. Now let's put the enemy right here on level 1. So 320 and 409. 320 and 409. Right? So it should be right here, but I don't draw the enemy. So let's draw the enemy. Just like I draw the door, I can draw the enemy. I'm going to say draw enemy. Enemies are blue, not yellow. And I'm going to say enemy. Okay, so I have the enemy there. Now we can see actually my coordinates are okay, but it needs to be up a little bit. So let's move the coordinates for the enemy a little less. Up is less, so maybe 380. Okay, so the enemy is in a cool location right now. Now, it's important to understand that I need to do that in set level, right? Because if I die and go back to level 1, it needs to be controlled in set level. So the X and Y is important. So I'm going to go down here and say, just like I set the door in level 1, I'm going to say enemy.x equals and enemy.y. And I can put semicolons here and semicolons here. Okay. Enemy.x, enemy.y. I got some kind of error on 179. I'm not actually sure what it is. Looks fine to me. 7913. Oh, I don't have an equals. Okay, and then level 2, I'm going to put a different spot for the enemy. Okay, we're going to move it back a little. We're just going to move its X to about here to 218. So I'll do the same thing. I'll let you make more interesting levels. Okay, so does the enemy look like it's in a nice location? Okay, awesome. So each level has an enemy in a different location, it has a goal. But if you hit the enemy, nothing actually happens, right? So we need collision code. So just like we had collision code for the door, we're going to have collision code for the enemies. And it's going to be largely the same. If the hero hits the door, well, this is going to be if the hero hits the enemy. And look at this. It's almost the same code. But let's think about it. If we hit the door, we go to the next level, and we call set level. But if we hit the enemy, we're dead. So we go back to level 1. So we don't want to go to the next level, not level equals level plus 1. We just want to go to level 1. Okay? So that means anytime you hit the enemy, you go back to level 2. You go back to level 1. Let's go to level 2. Okay? If I hit this enemy, do I go to level 1? Perfect. So now we've got a game set up where you're never allowed to hit the enemy. If you do hit the enemy, the game resets. And we could have health if we wanted, but for now I'm not going to do that. The only other thing is it's not super interesting because the enemy just sits there, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the enemy move. Now, what some people do is they give the same gravity and the same movement ideas, but that's a little more complex. Instead, what I think I just want to do is I just want to have it an X movement, or maybe a Y movement. Actually, I think I like Y movement better. They're the same. I'll show you one. So what I'm going to do is I already have an X speed and a Y speed. I want this enemy to go up and then down, up and then down, and then that way I will have to like sneak under him. Okay? So how do I do that? Well, I have a Y speed, right? And I can just, let's make him move a little slower. I can just move the enemy, right? So let's say where I draw the enemy, right here, I can say you're going to move enemy dot y equals enemy dot y plus whatever your speed is. And that allows us later on to make faster enemies, slower enemies. Capital S, it might be capital. Something's up there because I can see it's not moving. It should be moving, so I bet you my Y speed is moving. I'm not doing it. Oh, Y speed is. Okay, so see it moves, right? And actually I want it to go up at first. Okay, so I want it to bounce, right? And then move back and forth between that areas. So for me to do that, I need to have, like, where is it going to bounce? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what? Every enemy has a minimum Y and a maximum Y. Okay? And it will bounce between the minimum and maximum Y. So I just want to look at my mouse here. So I want it to bounce at about, let's say around here, 320. So at 320, I want you to bounce. And 380, which is your original spot, I want you to bounce again. Okay? So it's going to bounce between 320 and 380. The minimum Y and the maximum Y. Well, let's go down and make that happen. How do we make that happen? We say, well, if your Y is less than your minimum Y, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to go the opposite direction. Your direction is controlled by your speed. So we're going to reverse your speed, which is just negative. So your Y speed is going to be the opposite of your Y speed. See how that worked? And it bounces, right? Now, it's got to bounce again. It's got to bounce again at the max. So I'm going to copy this code and say, well, if you're greater than your max Y, same thing. So now we should have it bouncing. Now that's going to be a really hard game. I wonder if I can do it. Probably need to make it a bit bigger. Almost, no, too much. So let's go here where we set our max Y. Let's give him a little bit. The game's too hard. the minimum y and make it go high. Yeah, that makes sense. So 380. Let's go 280. Okay, so now I have a little bit more breathing room to get past it. Ah! Okay, I made it. Now, there's nothing to say that I can set the minimum y and the maximum y in each level, right? And I could also do it with min x and min max x, and so he would move in two directions. I'll leave that for you to do. And I think that's how we set up an enemy. So, how did I do that? Well, let's review how I made an enemy. I declared an enemy. I set up an enemy. And I added a min x and a min y later on for it to move. I drew the enemy, and then I did some code to move the enemy. And in each level, I set up where the enemy is going to be. And if I wanted to change the movement min x and min y, or min y and max y, I could do that right here. And that's how we put enemies in our code.